Hello, welcome to Miss Regina's lesson plan for the rest of the day class. We are going to be able to look at shapes, and we're going to make shape monsters so that we can understand how shapes are also descriptions where we need to be able to use descriptive vocabulary when it comes to many different shapes. On the projector right here, I will go ahead and put up 4 different shapes to start out with. We're going to have circle, square, rectangle, and triangle. These are the 4 shapes I'm going to have everybody look at, and everybody can choose one of the 4 shapes. After we choose one of the 4 shapes, we are going to get comfortable with those shapes before we go any further with our lesson plan today, which is about creating a shape monster. So the next thing we'll do is we are going to have everybody sit down at our little area right here, which is where everybody can just kind of get comfortable, sit down. This is our calm area, and we will have everybody just go ahead and look up here at the projector screen, and you'll see a variety of examples of triangle, rectangle, square, and so forth, and circle. So I will also be showing you now, after everybody's selected their shape, I will also be putting up on the projector screen here some real life examples of these shapes. So up here I will have an example of a circle with a sun and so forth, and I will go ahead and give you all real life examples of these shapes so that it also helps to solidify the importance of where these shapes come from and how we can use them in our future. So now, after each student selects their shape, we are going to now have everybody begin their identification of their shape. I'm going to have everybody use construction paper, colored paper, any orange, yellow, whichever colors, and cut out their one shape to begin with. The one that they selected, that you select up here from the projector screen, go ahead and here's your scissors and some construction paper, and go ahead and cut out your shape. After you do that, we're going to have everybody be in the process of making their shape monster after everybody makes sure that they have identified their shape, and we're also going to go over the shape in ASL. So that will also be demonstrated. So for certain students, we have Stephanie, George, Regina, and Colton, which are all, I know everybody is learning with a few different techniques. So for those who need the ASL, all of the students can also practice that to learn alongside with descriptions of their shapes. The next thing that we're going to do so that we can continue to build on the vocabulary is so that each student, now you will all be able to start cutting out your shape monster, and you can use any of the 5 or 4 shapes that were shown and combine them to make your shape monster. And after that, each student will need to write a few sentences describing their shape monster. I know that Colton is still developing his English and ASL skills, and so is George. So So I will make sure that their ASL identification of their first monster is definitely mastered before they go on to making their second. And Stephanie and Regina are also both learning ASL, so they will also benefit from the ASL reinforcement, and they'll be able to link things with what they've seen before. They'll definitely benefit. You guys will definitely benefit from this as well. Then I am going to go ahead and sign and speak with my descriptive sentences that I am going to make for my shape monster. So this is my shape monster here. I have used many different shapes, well, all 4 of the ones that I've provided, but since Miss Regina is a teacher, she's just giving all of you an example, which we're going to work up to, which is using all of the shapes of the 4 that I put on the board, or on the screen, and making a shape monster. So here I've got the circle, I've got the rectangles, I've got the squares right here, and there are other things like the triangle that you students can incorporate whichever way you would like. So after all of you create your first monster, I will have you go back and explain to me, what your sentences are about your monster before you go on to making the second monster. Because this is a geometry class, I don't want to complicate it too much with too many things, so a second monster is going to be my way as your teacher to check your understanding and to make sure that you can also make some additional sentences, about 4 sentences after you're done making your second monster. So everybody will have to fill out a little handout sheet with completing some sentences for how many sides each shape has, as well as identifying the shape. This is going to be your exit ticket for me, and you will be able to be completed with the project as soon as you give me the turned in handout of your sentences and your descriptions of your second shape monster. I need 5 to 6 shapes to be identified, and afterwards I will ask each student to hold up a finger, identifying if you understand what we have learned. So number 1 is going to be indicating that you don't understand. If you don't understand, hold up a number 1. Number 2 is you still feel kind of confused. So hold up number 2 if that's how you feel. Number 3 is indicating that they can do it again and you can do it by yourself. Number 4 indicates that you understand and you can teach it to one of your fellow classmates. Afterwards, under my supervision, I will have you students create a monster family with as many shapes as you want, and I will have each student with any shape that they choose, create a monster family and show me that you can identify each shape accurately. Next, I will have each student write down on your favorite color construction paper what is one thing that they can identify in real life about their shapes, and be able to name at least 5 shapes to start out with. So we're going to show 4 up. I'm going to show 4 up here to begin with, and then after each student has mastered their first shape monster, I will give each student an additional shape so that they can choose how to create another monster with that. Throughout the week, we will increasingly do more projects to increase the number of shapes to work up to 13 different shapes. But beginning, we're going to start out with 4 and add 1 so that each student has a total of 5 overall for this project, for this lesson plan. I will need for each of you students to show me that you have created your shape monsters, and I need to see how well you can all demonstrate your ASL sign for each of those shapes. And when I come to your seat, I would like each of you to show me your shape monsters, and we'll go over identifying each shape, and I will look at your sentences, and I will ask you if they agree that this shape is an appropriate shape for identifying their real life example as well. I will ask you questions about this certain shape monster having different components and shapes on it so that we can actually identify sort of a real life figure as well. This is my first grade geometry lesson plan, and I am very excited for all of the students to complete their shape monsters, and we will go ahead and get started with that as soon as everybody gets seated. And this lesson plan is going to help solidify, again, the objectives, which are shape identification, and it will solidify your vocabulary for describing each of these shapes.